Just Eff It. Hi, I'm Romy, an identity coach helping others who struggle with their sexual identity and families of queer youth find their path of understanding and acceptance.
And I'm Carla, a mom empowerment coach empowering moms to own their new identities and motherhood journeys.
And together we are the EFFing Madres. We are here to invite you guys into stories of some inspiring madres
who have changed their lives through an Eff It moment. So here we go. Just Eff It.
Monday.
Good morning. Happy Monday.
For all those watching, I am rocking our new Eff It Madre hat. We've got our mugs. Mm-hmm. We are officially selling merch, swag.
Yes, we are. I know. I need to get all of the stuff because I only have that one sweatshirt and it's in the wash.
I'm getting like one of everything and wearing it everywhere. I love it. I'm obsessed. I have to say that the hat is way even cuter in person. I love it. Yeah, good. I love the logo. I love the way it feels. I worked out in it. I'm going to work out in it today, and it's like my new favorite. So
nice. Okay, I'll have to try. I'll have to get one too. I'm picky about hats. They have to fit a certain way on my head.
Yes. Yeah. No, this one fits. I like the way this one fits. It's like the perfect gym hat. It's the perfect like run around hat. So I'm stoked. Cool. It's Monday. Who are we, Carla?
We are the Eff It Madres. I am Carla. I said Carly. This is Carla. This is Romy. And we're two moms, two best friends, two Latin ladies who said Eff It and decided to start this podcast because we started our Eff It moment. And that's why this podcast happened. And it is a space where moms, madres, supporting other madres, through these big life-changing Eff It moments, because it's a mindset shift and they're big deals to do, especially when you have children and possibly partners involved in this decision that changes your life and that of your family. So we're hoping that this space motivates moms out there who are on the brink and just know they need to change to just fucking do it, because it really is a door that opens up for you in regards to so many other opportunities and different perspectives and learning so much about yourself. So if you're into growth like we are, this is the podcast for you.
Absolutely. Well said. And we are very much into growth. I think that is like over the last year, majority of anything that Carla and I share with one another is some sort of like self-development, like motivation. We love our podcast. And so it's exciting to be able to create our own space since that is what we are passionate about. Yeah. So today we have a mama on that is a friend of mine from my San Francisco days from many, many moons ago. We lived in San Francisco. We lived in West Hollywood. We were those wild and crazy friends way before we were moms, you know? And I haven't seen her in years, but I followed her story on Instagram, her journey of motherhood a little bit, them leaving the country. And so I'm excited to hear about her Eff It moment. And I know it's definitely around what this country offers and doesn't offer and what kind of moves we make as moms. So.
Well, that'll be an interesting subject. You all know how we feel about that.
I was like, and when are we fucking leaving, Carla?
I know. I'm like, we're still here.
Why the fuck are we still here?
I know. We're like, who knows? Maybe we'll be doing this podcast from another country someday. You know?
That's the dream.
All right. So we're going to bring her in just a second.
We have my very sweet, sweet friend from forever moons ago, Mackenzie, joining us today. She's making this work with children hiding and husbands hiding because that's how we roll. So we're just going to jump right into this.
Okay, Mackenzie, the first question is, what brought about this mental shift to say Eff It that you're going to share with us today?
So I had my daughter in Italy in 2018. We lived over in Europe for about 5 years. And my husband got a job over here in the US. And obviously, after you have children, obviously your mindset changes and what you need to provide, right? So like we were kind of living this bohemian life. He was working freelance, and then we have a child, and he's like, oh God, I gotta like, make this more consistent. We need like a foundation. We need to be strong. And he took this job over here, and I was thinking like, okay, we'll be here for a few years. We'll travel back and forth. We still have a house in Italy, a small little house in Italy, in the southern part of Italy. So I was like, it'll be fine. You know, it's a temporary thing. I never really wanted to come back here because of all the things I'm going to discuss. But we got here, 2020 happened. The world obviously shifted and changed. And I didn't even know, like, I just jumped into motherhood, right? Like a lot of us. And was kind of in a haze for a while. Coming out of that pandemic haze, I started to realize how insanely difficult it is to have small children in this country. The financial burden, the mental burden, having lived in other places, having friends that have children in other countries. It just like upended me basically. And yeah, it's been a journey since then.
Well, I have a question. So you came back from Italy and then the pandemic hit?
Yes.
Dang. Okay, so you're really lucky because Italy got hit so hard.
Italy got hit really hard. However, where our house is, it didn't because it's very rural and it's like
Oh.
very old school. Like it still feels like 1975 there. And people are really close knit and in this way that like they were looking out for each other. And so
Uh,
oftentimes I felt like I wish I had been there because there was not necessarily isolation, but like this sense of togetherness, which is
yeah,
also something I feel more about living in Europe than living in America. We're like pushed apart living here in so many ways.
right.
So would you say, Mackenzie, then like your F it moment was like saying like you wanted to effing go back there once you became a mother being here?
It was definitely the pandemic like threw me. I was like, why am I not there? Like, I feel like there's so much weight on us in this country, even through the pandemic. And then I had my second child, and that was like, oh my God, like having a second child just made it that much more pressure on me as a stay-at-home mother to like navigate everything without support. And that was my moment of like, if I don't get back there, like my entire being is gonna collapse like every single day.
Did you get back there?
No.
Okay.
So I'm curious about this, Mackenzie. I love that you're talking about this because we haven't really had a lot of moms on here talk about having that moment of like, I need to fucking go back. Like I need to be there. And
Yeah,
sometimes those moments happen and you don't. Why didn't you end up back?
because it's essentially out of my control. My husband's job is here, our financial stability is here, and like I was saying, you have to make certain choices. You can't make those choices that you did before children, right? Like no children, great, we would have up and left and moved into our little apartment in Italy and like called it a day. But when you have children, you're like, okay, what's going to be their future? You know, what's going to set them up to be successful? What's going to be the best for them? And I'm an only child, so I'm used to just thinking about myself. And so it's been like, okay, just upending and not having that security is going to be difficult on the whole family. And so it was just like motherhood, it always is. It was a push and pull, you know, like two opposites, like me just wanting to get the F out of here and being like, but that's not necessarily the best decision for my family and my children.
So I'd be curious then having this F it moment, not moving on it, right? Not actually
Yeah.
being able to move, but you had that shift in your head. What were the opportunities this opened up for you by having that moment and not going?
Yeah, so it's interesting because when you asked me to be on this podcast in my effort moment, and I was thinking, you know, I've had this same effort moment and spiraled on it for like five until last year. Actually, I would say 6 months ago is when I finally surrendered. Like that was the word that kept coming up for me for this conversation
Mhm.
was like I would try and like it was just all consuming for me. Like I would obsess about leaving and it would put pressure on my marriage and all these things. And finally I just said I had to let go of this thing that I was obsessing over, this change I had to make externally, and accept and surrender to living in this moment. And like
Mhm.
the things that came from that were much healthier lifestyle habits, finally starting to exercise for the first time in my life consistently, That ended up making me finally surrendering, made me a more peaceful mother, like a more present mother. Whereas I was always somewhere else and now I'm
Yeah.
just here.
So then I would honestly say it's like effing surrendering to some things that we do obsess about. And at some point, when do we let that go, right? When do we surrender to it and start to be like, which I'm glad you said, in the now, in the present, checked in with
Exactly.
your family, checked in with yourself,
Yeah.
as opposed to living in this idea that you're obsessing over, right? That like at this point you can't do anything about. There is a huge shift when we finally just realize where we're at and start
Right.
to be present and alive in our homes and with our families.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think um, that sort of what I believe is that when I did this like manifestation workshop, and that was also sort of a turning point of like just writing down the things that you want to change and like having it on paper, but accepting that these are because even if it's not happening right now or you're not even like close to it, it's like there are steps in the universe and whatever anyone believes is kind of watching over us or looking out for us. Like just me getting to the gym is a step toward what I want in the future, each day taking that minute to like reset, and be clear. And so I think oftentimes you can be like, F it, like it's a fight or flight response to just leave, right? To just run away from something. But when you face it head on and you're like, this is what it is, I have no control over it in this moment, but I can take these steps daily, and that's working towards something bigger.
100%.
Right. I mean, these effort moments, it doesn't necessarily matter what it is that you
Mhm.
are like aiming for. It's the fact that you've had this mental shift. And what that mental shift does is it really does open you up, even if it works out or it doesn't. Like it still
Mhm.
opens you up to new things. Like you're starting to do things differently. You started to do things differently, see things differently. That's the whole thing
Mhm.
that happens with these shifts. Like
Mhm.
the effort moment
Right.
isn't necessarily the thing itself. It's like i I want to start doing things differently. So
Right.
this is an interesting story because like you, that was your effort moment, you wanted to go back. It hasn't happened yet, but you are living your life towards ultimately that goal maybe, or whatever the case may be, but you're like a different person, you're doing things differently and
Well, you
Right.
different.
surrendered. I think when we
Yeah,
effing surrender
right.
to the obsession of the things we want to happen not happening, and
Mhm.
we turn it into a healthy journey like you're doing in terms of the gym and finding your peace. I think so many of us need to remember that that in itself is that F it moment. It isn't really even you getting there. It's saying, I can't get there. I'm effing choosing to make the best out of this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I think like what you guys are doing and opening conversations for women to feel supported, because up until about also 6 months ago I didn't have any friends here. Like I'm from obviously San Francisco, but I didn't have anyone in Portland where I am now. And so I I met two women that were in similar, we have similar schedules, we're stay-at-home mothers, our husbands all work at the same place, and we've created a routine together throughout the week, and our kids are all in similar age groups, and it's just like once you have that community to also lift you up and get you through these times, I think it's so important. And what I feel in America is that we're just so isolated because
Yes.
we're working on just paying the rent or
Yeah.
paying the
Yes.
bills, which is just in our millennial era insane, like
Yeah.
what we've had to face as
Right. So
mothers.
the next question I kind of want to,
Mhm.
I want to reword, and I want to know what are the things, because I'm very passionate, we're both very passionate about like what you don't get in this country
Mhm.
as a mother, as women. So what are the things that you're frustrated with, like after
Oh,
living in Italy, like compare, like yeah, compare Italy
let me
to
bust out my scroll.
the United States. I'd love to hear it from someone that lived there and saw everything.
I think, my poor husband has heard me I think I was bringing it up like daily. Um, so I'm glad I have an excited audience.
Very.
But basically, for instance, so my husband is English, so I'm familiar with, because I've looked into it, and we have family over there that have children, and so basically in England, um, you get 1 year paid maternity leave, 1 year,
You had me
and
there.
then
You just
Yeah.
had me there. I'm like,
and then from 1 year you get 20 hours of free. The government gives you 20 hours of free childcare in a nurse, like in a daycare, and the daycares are run like they're not privately run, so they have to adhere to a certain standard. And then there's no like, to my knowledge, there isn't like a hierarchy of like, oh, I mean, obviously different neighborhoods are different. In England, it's not perfect, but it's just like, so then you get 20 hours free, so you can then get back into your groove and not have that insano financial pressure. I don't know, 20 hours is half the week, right? Then the other 20 hours you need, if you're full-time, fully employed and full-time, you get, the government still subsidizes that kind of per hour rate. So at the end of the day, maybe you're paying $400 a month or pounds for full-time childcare, something like that.
after a
Oh.
year of maternity,
Yeah.
Paid
paid,
maternity leave,
paid
right?
maternity.
That is just, I don't, so I was doing some research in the last blog post that we wrote, and basically like it is not a US federal law to instill that at all. It is simply left up to businesses to decide whether or not they want to,
Mhm.
and most of them will do like 12 weeks unpaid leave. It's like,
Yeah.
how do they expect, like, I think it's all done purposefully, to be quite honest, because I was just reading this. There was this woman called Isabel Aladen. We did a quote about her, and she said, if the mother is empowered, then the family and
Mhm.
the children and the village and
Mhm.
then the whole country are. But it's
Mhm.
like, I feel
Fuck
like it's
yes.
done, it's
100%.
done purposefully, because then if women are not empowered, then we're not giving enough to our children. Then these kids end up having all these problems, and maybe they don't end up ending succeeding, and they stay in the like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's done fucking purposely.
No, it's so literally, I wrote that down here, like a system that's, when I was writing my notes about what I wanted to say, but it's a system that suppresses women and their dreams.
Yes.
Like the fact that, so even being a stay-at-home mother, I do feel privileged to be in this position.
Hmm.
But if I were to go out and get a job, because I didn't have a, you know, a, I didn't already have a job before I had children. We were living in Italy. Um, it's like, it's all consuming. I've been with my children. My daughter is finally in like transitional kindergarten, but that costs us money still until she's 6. And so, and I'm with my son, he's 3, because if I were to get a job, it would just go straight to the childcare, which where I live is like $2,000 a month full time for one kid.
I mean, that's
Um,
what it is here, Mackenzie. When Frankie was born, we had to outweigh. You remember this,
yeah,
Carla. I stayed home for the first 3 years because, truthfully, the job I was going to get was
yeah,
literally going to pay for my childcare. I know all of us have had to made the decision to be at home with our kids, because what is the option? We either don't go to work, right? And we get to
right.
be with our children, or we take our entire paycheck to literally pay someone to raise our kids for the first few
Yeah,
years.
it's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
It leaves
Imagine.
most of us no option than, hey, if no one's making any money here, we might as well just be home with our kids. Then it puts us back on our like resume. Then we have to go back into the workforce and try and reintroduce ourselves to like the world, when we were like, hey, for the last few years we've been a stay-at-home mom, which, by the way, that responsibility alone should give us any fucking job in this country.
Yeah.
Amen.
Like,
I
I
I
mean,
wish motherhood
yeah.
was put on a resume and they were like, fuck yeah, this woman can multitask, handle stress. She can, she can do multiple things, because it is a fucking job that is so unrecognized here and so expected.
Well, that's the reason why we are suppressed. It's because we are so capable of doing so many things that I think, and this is my personal opinion, it can be controversial, whatever, but it's because we're a threat. We're a
yeah,
threat
Always.
to the patriarchy, because we can actually do. Can you imagine men trying to do what we do? I mean, like, I love my husband, but he can't
Yeah.
sometimes do like the laundry and take the care. Like, he can't, you know what I mean? But we do it. We do
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that is
100%.
why we are still kept down here, because we have it in
Mm-hmm.
us.
But and that's just like, first of all, like our country, that's what we forget though when we're here, is that there are other countries that are lifting women up in a way and mothers up in a way that it's just we forget, we get blinded that this is the only way it is, when there's, and then you hear these stories like Mackenzie shares and you go, this is not the world. Not everyone thinks like this. Like, unfortunately, this is our fucking country, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My next question though would be, Mackenzie, like through this effort moment of like surrendering and accepting that this is where you're going to live, this is how you're going to have to navigate finding a healthy lifestyle and community. How have you been able to keep yourself in that positive space being here and not there?
Part of it is because I know part of it is because I'm sort of coming out of the solely um like my son will go to half days 3 times a week starting in September. So that's
Mhm.
still 7 months away. And my daughter will finally be in kindergarten um 6 years later. And so after six, 5, I guess I've, yeah, 6 years of being with a child and children. I'm like, I see the light at the end of the tunnel because I'm finally gonna have a few hours to myself for the day. So
Carla.
My daughter just started. I have one, and she just started school. And like yesterday, she was there from like 8:30 to almost 4. And my husband and I were like,
I
"What?
know you're just like,
Wow!
what's
Oh my
happening?
god, it's
I know.
amazing!"
It is
Yeah.
amazing. You're not, because when you have toddlers, I mean, it gets, better as they get a little bit older, the
Yes, yes.
challenges shift, but like you're in fight or flight. Like my son just like, he's so sweet, but he's still almost 3 and he is like melting down and he wants like me to put his superhero mask on his teddy bear, but I didn't do it the right way. So like, like, and I can't put him, like everything is like you're in fight or flight mode and you're being screamed at.
Your nervous system, I always say, like, your nervous system is just so thrown out of whack. And I think for both of you, because I'm further into it, Frankie's
Yeah.
7 in second grade. So, and I have that free time and I have that balance of
Yeah.
co-parenting where I get my me time. There's
Yeah.
a beautiful bliss to that. So I get to really enjoy the time I have with her. Um,
Yeah.
but you getting that freedom now of seeing the light of just some you time is kind of what's helping you, right? And I think Carla, you as
Yes.
well, right? Find yourself again.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. You do. You feel like you've got a wrangle on yourself again, because it's just, you
Yeah.
literally are consumed by every minute of every day of taking care of these kids, and it's a lot. And I've been privileged enough to be able to have such a flexible schedule since because I
Yeah.
work for myself, and it's just like I can't imagine the mothers that like I have a friend 3 weeks after she had a cesarean worked because she had to, with her
Yeah.
baby strapped on her fucking back because she had no
Such
childcare.
bullshit.
Like, what the
Such
fuck
bullshit.
is this country? Like, come on. How is
I
that
know.
okay? Yeah,
And
it's
think
rough.
about if you had the 20 hours that, like, don't even get me started on like France, because I have a friend that lives in Paris and they give you money when you have children. They put money in your bank account. The
What?
government.
Yeah.
Yes. um, but if you did that 1 year maternity leave and then you went to having 20 hour, like I was talking to a friend who's English and her sister's in England, and she started like an interior design business. Like she got even 20 hours a week, what women can do with that free time and how your brain can expand and like create. And
That's why we don't get it. That's why we don't
yeah,
get it.
exactly.
Because it would
Exactly.
give us the
Exactly.
opportunity to take over the world. And they don't want that.
Yep.
That's why.
No.
Carla.
Yeah.
That's why. I figured it
Damn the
out.
man.
That's the
Damn the
reason.
man.
Damn the man.
Damn the man.
Well,
Save the empire. Okay,
yeah,
next
Mackenzie.
question.
So I'm curious, since you've had this like surrendering, I suppose, since this
Yeah.
effort moment didn't end up, working out the way that you want, which doesn't mean that it won't down the line. But like, what would you say? Like, how would you say you are at this point now that you have surrendered versus how you were prior when you were just
Oh my
like,
God. I it was just I felt crazy. And like I live also in a place that doesn't get a lot of sunshine a lot of the year. So it was just the combination of like, not having a community, not having sunshine, knowing that there's so much better out there for women and mothers, and not being able to access that, and knowing that it's so shit here, excuse my language. Like I just but then when I finally, things started to fall into place a little bit more, and I just said I have to let go of this because I know that the universe is looking out for me and my family, and I know that we'll be on the path that we need to be. And I am fortunate that my husband's English, so like worst case scenario, Trump being elected, I'm like, we could
You're
go
that's
back if
welcome
we
here. You're fine.
yeah.
like we could go back in an emergency situation. I feel so
Can
grateful
you
for
take
that,
us
but
with you? Like,
yeah,
do you
Oh
have like
no.
family members? Because like I'm
yeah.
pretty sure this is the direction we're going in.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So yeah, I think that surrender also, women, hot tip, if you have a gym, stay at home moms, if you have a gym that has free childcare, literally life changing. I had a
Yes.
friend tell me, like, you need to join. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't want to put, literally life changing. So that is one hot tip. Um,
So your mental health,
and
your physical health, and that's like the new you in comparison to living in full anxiety and obsession.
mhm. Because knowing that I can exercise every day, um, helps me like quell that and like keep it at bay. When I wasn't taking care of myself, especially in the pandemic, and just numbing, it just came back to me the next day.
I think fitness, though, and all of us can agree because I know all of us love to work out. I talked to a friend of mine as well who's struggling being at home with her two wild boys and her nervous system.
Oh God.
And
Yeah.
fitness, sometimes your brain gets to check out. It's you time. It's a natural way of feeling good. It is a tool that we have anywhere, everywhere to ourselves to literally make ourselves feel better. And it is needed. It is needed. And it has saved my life.
And
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
you can do it from home. I
Yep.
still
Oh.
I started 2020, started following these fitness people, and I
Hmm.
Yep.
still do it from home. I don't go to a
Yeah.
gym. Like,
Yeah.
it is so important, even if
It
it's
is.
20 to 30 minutes a day. Like,
Yep.
it is
Yep.
so important to do that when you have kids, because also you need to make sure that you're healthy for them and taking care of
Yeah.
yourself for
Oh,
them.
100%.
But
Yeah.
also mentally, like, if I didn't work out, oh my god, like, I
Oh,
don't know
same.
what type of person I would be.
No, same. It's literally therapy. I had a friend yesterday who's going through this, and she was like, "I just need to start." And we were talking about running. She literally like did not want to start. She texted me yesterday. She did a mile super slow in her neighborhood while they were at school.
Hmm.
Anyone
Hmm.
listening, you just need to walk outside. You just need to move. The mental health that it
Yeah.
matters, and we are in a country that we're getting pushed in every fucking which way, and the only thing
Hmm.
we really have for ourselves is like us taking care of our mental health and our physical health. So I feel like that's been like a huge shift for you, Mackenzie, in
Totally.
accepting that this is where you're at.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Definitely.
and for
Definitely.
anyone that's listening that is like wanting to do like their fitness journey or start it, but like, or just maybe they have this all or nothing mentality, it does not need to be that way. You
No.
can start off doing a 10-minute walk a
Yep.
day. Like, it can be as little as that. It's just being able to move your body, get outside, be alone for a little bit. It just really will make such a difference. And then you can just start adding on from there, but it doesn't have to be all or nothing.
I also love that you mentioned community though. That also saved you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard because it really takes like, I don't know, I'm a sensitive person, so it takes like the right kind of mixture of women around me, but like, and like I want to feel like we're in this together, like which sometimes, some people's realities are just so different, everybody's going through something. But like I think that that with mixed with routine and exercise. And exactly, you don't have to go to a gym. Like there are so many ways to like get what you need for free. But like, yeah, I think that women supporting women is also just overlooked like entirely. And we just get on with our day. And what we really need is that like human connection, especially like mother
100%.
to mother connection.
100%.
Yes. Because we're connected
100%.
and bonded no matter what. Yeah. We're connected
Yeah.
and bonded no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly why we've, created this space as well, because maybe we can't get to everybody or hear everybody's stories. Maybe we don't have time to listen to everyone with coffee, but we're hoping that the stories here, as you have a moment to yourself, you can listen to and be like, "Oh, I fucking feel the same way. I'm not alone."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
a reminder. My last
Mhm.
question then would be, what would be your message to your children living here, getting through this life here together? What is your message you would want to leave them?
I mean, I think the most important thing is for them, like for instance, my daughter, I think because I've been so like not just because of, I don't blame myself, but she's definitely has some sensory processing stuff going on. I think being a child of the pandemic and not having that child to child connection as early, because that's also part of it, right? Like that's why the government and other places, they want kids to start socializing with each other at an early age. It's really important for their mental health and their development. And so I think what is so important is for my children to find that I want them to feel peace, and I want them to know that like the outside is not necessarily something they can control, but they can
Mhm.
control and regulate like from the
Yes.
inside. And that
Yes.
does come from, you know, just being that role model to them that can emotionally regulate and that can get, and that's also part of this journey of me exercising and surrendering, is now I'm like way more calm as a mother. And then that is the biggest gift I can give them, is being that role model so that they learn to, they can get through these moments as well that feel out of control.
What an incredible lesson, because you're saying, hey, I obsessed over what I wanted to get myself out of this. I couldn't do it. I surrendered, but I found my inner peace through it. Yes, as a lesson to our children, you are going to be in situations that are fucking hard, countries
Yeah.
that are hard, realities that are
Mhm.
hard. And like you said, sometimes we can't always fucking get out of them, but it is our
Mhm.
responsibility to figure out how to find that inner peace through it. And that
Yeah.
is like, what a fucking lesson that you're
Yeah.
Mhm.
learning and that you get to pass on to them and then be an example to them of that.
Oh, Romy.
Yeah. But really, I mean, I know what that's
Yeah.
like as well. All of us, like
Yeah.
sometimes life is fucking hard and that's the reality of it. But like we have a choice, as every one of us has a fucking choice on how we move through those difficult situations, surrendering and finding healthy ways through it. I mean, I applaud you, because your option could have been staying in absolute anxiety and obsession and depression, and that would affect you and your family until you finally figured it the fuck out. Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mackenzie. Where can people
Yeah.
find you? Is there anything that you'd want to share? Any projects, foundations, anything that you'd want to shout out?
I have a fashion Instagram that I kind of doing like the mom fashion thing, like trying
Yeah.
to be inspiring. That you don't have to just sit in like sweatpants and no makeup. You can still like do things quickly and get dressed. And I think it's so important to like I'm wearing a dress from like before I had kids, and it's like this dress, I put it on and I'm like, oh, here I go.
Yeah.
Like,
And you look amazing.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Mackenzie
it's
has
like
always been in fashion, for those of you listening. I've known her for many, many moons, and she's always been our fashionista. So that is you. That is how I know you. So as a mother, I love that you're not losing that and you're still
Yeah.
like
yeah.
done to the T, because that's who you are. So everybody can follow her at Mackenzie
Yeah.
underscore hello.
Hmm.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and that's a work in progress, and I'm excited. I do have like one YouTube video up, like in connection. That link is there, but just want to like help other moms feel good just like you guys are. So
Yeah.
That's
I
great.
love it.
And it
I
is
love it.
really impactful for a mom to do her hair one day, or maybe throw some makeup
Mhm.
on, or maybe if she's wearing sweats, do a little twist to it so that she feels cute. Like, it
Yeah.
really does
Oh, I just put
use.
these earrings on when I go to the gym, and it's like,
Oh
Yeah, there's
yeah.
like there's just that little shift, like
hmm
feeling like you look good or look cute really does make you approach the world differently. So that's really important
yeah.
what you're doing, and so you should be
Thank
very proud
you.
of yourself for wanting to
Thank
help
you.
moms. Mhm.
Thank you.
All right. Well, this is where we are all going to say just F it.
I was gonna
Oh,
say, Mackenzie, will you do the honors?
just F it.
Just F it.
Just F it.